The Warwickshire Royal Horse Artillery was a Territorial Force Royal Horse Artillery battery that was formed in Warwickshire in 1908. It was the first Territorial Force artillery unit to go overseas on active service, spending the whole of the First World War on the Western Front, mostly with 1st Cavalry Division and 29th Division. A second-line battery, 2/1 of a stone Warwickshire RHA, also served on the Western Front in 1917 and 1918 as part of an Army Field Artillery Brigade. Post-war it was reconstituted as a Royal Field Artillery Battery. History. Formation. The Territorial Force, TF, was formed on 1 April 1908 following the enactment of the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act 1907. 7 EDW. 7. C. 9, which combined and reorganized the old volunteer force, the Honourable Artillery Company and the Yeomanry. On formation, the TF contained 14 infantry divisions and 14 mounted yeomanry brigades. Each yeomanry brigade included a horse artillery battery and an ammunition column. On 18 March 1908, Warwickshire Royal Horse Artillery, Territorial Force, was proposed as a new unit and it was recognised by the Army Council on 4 June 1908. The battery was raised by Lord Brooke at Warwick Castle. It consisted of Battery HQ at Leamington, Warwickshire Battery at Leamington, 1st South Midland Mounted Brigade ammunition column also at Leamington. The battery was equipped with 4 Earhart 15-pounder guns and allocated as artillery support to the 1st South Midland Mounted Brigade. First World War. In accordance with the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act 1907. 7 EDW. 7. C. 9, which brought the Territorial Force into being. The TF was intended to be a home defense force for service during wartime and members could not be compelled to serve outside the country. However, on the outbreak of war on 4 August 1914, many members volunteered for Imperial service. Therefore, TF units were split into first line, liable for overseas service, and second line, home service for those unable or unwilling to serve overseas. Units. Second-line units performed the home defense role, although in fact most of these were also posted abroad in due course. 1/1 of a stone Warwickshire equals. The first-line battery was embodied with the 1st South Midland Mounted Brigade on 4 August 1914 at the outbreak of the First World War. Initially, the brigade moved to Dis, Norfolk and joined the 1st Mounted Division. Later in August, a concentration of mounted brigades was ordered to take place around the Churn area of Berkshire, and the brigade moved to the racecourse at Newbury. These brigades were transferred to the new 2nd Mounted Division on 2 September. 1 Brigade RA and 2 Brigade RA were formed for the division and the battery was assigned to I Brigade at Churn. At the end of October 1914, B Battery, Honourable Artillery Company replaced it in 1 Brigade and the Warwickshire Battery departed for France, landing at Le Havre on 1 November. It was therefore the first Territorial Force artillery unit to go overseas on active service. It should be noted that the 42nd East Lancashire Division had departed for Egypt from 10 September 1914. The 43rd Wessex Division for India on 9 October, and the 44th Home Counties Division also for India on 30 October, complete with their artillery batteries. However, these divisions were to act as garrison forces and neither Egypt nor India was a theatre of war at this time. On arrival in India, the units reverted to peacetime conditions and pushed on with training to prepare for field service, and Britain did not declare war on Turkey until 5 November 1914. Warwickshire RHA was to spend the rest of the war on the Western Front. initially held up by horse sickness. It was not until the 4th of December that the battery was attached to the 2nd Cavalry Division. On the 14th of April 1915 it joined 7th Brigade RHA, 1st Cavalry Division, and was assigned to 9th Cavalry Brigade while with 1st Cavalry Division. The division took part in the Second Battle of Ypres, notably the Battle of Frezenberg Ridge, 9–13 May, and the Battle of Bellewaerde Ridge, the 24th of May 1915, and the Battle of Flores-Courcelette, the 15th of September 1916. As part of the Battle of the Somme, on the 23rd of August 1915, the battery was re-equipped, not with the expected 13-pounders but with 4 18-pounders, normally employed by Royal Field Artillery batteries to support infantry. On the 21st of November 1916, the battery joined 15th Brigade RHA, 29th Division in exchange for the regular Y Battery RAF. Thereafter, the battery supported 29th Division in a large number of major actions. In 1917, this including the Battle of Arras, April to May, 1st, 2nd and 3rd Battles of the Scarpa, the 3rd Battle of Ypres, August to October, Battles of Longyearbyen, Brodsend and Poelcapelle, and the Battle of Cambrai, November and December, including the tank attack and the German counter-attacks. 1918 likewise saw a number of major actions, including the Battle of the Lys, April, the battles of Estaires, Messines, Hazelbrook and Bailleul, the advance to victory, August and September, and the final advance in Flanders, September and October, 5th Battle of Ypres and Battle of Courtrai. At the armistice, it was still serving in 15th Brigade RHA with 29th Division, equipped with 6 18-pounders. The battery advanced into Germany on the 4th of December 1918. It later formed part of the British Army of the Rhine, and absorbed its second line in Germany in 1919. Equals 2/1 of a stone. Warwickshire equals. Warwickshire RHA formed a second line in 1914. Initially designated as the Warwickshire Reserve Battery RHA and later given a fractional designation as 2/1 of a stone. Warwickshire Battery RHA. The battery joined the second line 2/1 of a stone South Midland Mounted Brigade when it was formed in April 1915. On the 6th of March 1915, the 2nd Mounted Division was formed to replace 2nd Mounted Division, which had been warned for overseas service. The brigade joined the division on East Coast defences in June 1915 and concentrated at Hunston, with the battery at South Creek. The batteries of the division were quite unready for war. 3 had no horses. The 4th had just 23. 3 batteries had over 200 men on average, but the other just 91. One battery had no ammunition, and another reported that its 15-pounders were practically useless. The battery remained with the division when it was redesignated as 3rd Mounted Division in March 1916 and as 1st Mounted Division in July 1916. It had left the division by November 1916. Army Field Brigade, 126th Brigade, RFA was reformed at Heytesbury, Wiltshire in May 1917 with 2A battery and 2B battery HAC, both with 6 18-pounders. The brigade landed at Boulogne on the 22nd of June 1917 and became an Army Field Brigade, 2/1 of a stone. Warwickshire, by now also rearmed with 18-pounders, proceeded to France on the 21st of June 1917, joined the brigade and served with it on the Western Front for the rest of the war. At the armistice, the battery, by now made up to 6 18-pounders, was still with 126th Brigade, RFA, serving as army troops with the 1st Army. The battery entered Germany after the war ended, and was amalgamated into its first line in 1919. Post-war, Warwickshire RHA was not reconstituted until 7 February 1920, when it formed 3rd Warwickshire Battery, RFA, later numbered 271st Battery, in 3rd South Midland Brigade, RFA, later 68th South Midland Field Brigade, RAF, and ceased to be a Royal Horse Artillery Battery. See also List of Territorial Force Horse Artillery Batteries 1908. Notes. Bibliography. Beck, Major A. F. 1935. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 1. The Regular British Divisions. London. His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871167-09-4. Beck, Major A. F. 1936. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 2A. The Territorial Force Mounted Divisions and the First Line Territorial Force Divisions. 42-56. London. His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871167-12-4. Beck, Major A. F. 1945. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 3B. New Army Divisions. 30-41. And 63rd. RN. Division. London. His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871167-086. Clark, Dale. 2004. British Artillery 1914-19 Field Army Artillery. Volume 94 of New Vanguard Series. Oxford. Osprey Publishing. ISBN 1-84176-688-7. Frederick, J. B. M. 1984. Lineage Book of British Land Forces 1660-1978. Wakefield, Yorkshire. Microform Academic Publishers. ISBN 1-85117-009-X. James. Brigadier. A. 1978. British Regiments 1914-18. London. Samson Books Limited. ISBN 0-906304-03-2. Rinaldi, Richard A. 2008. Order of Battle of the British Army 1914. Ravi Rikhai. ISBN 978-0-977-60728-0. Westlake, Ray. 1992. British Territorial Units 1914-18. Osprey Publishing. ISBN 978-1-85532-168-7. Order of Battle of the British Armies in France. November 11, 1918. France. General Staff. GHQ. 1918. The Royal Horse Artillery on the Long Trail. The Great War Royal Horse Artillery. Corporal Harry Fox and the 1st Warwickshire Battery RAF. TF. 2/1 of a stone. Warwick. BTY RA on the Great War Forum.